All right, we are live for another Thursday's Top Tips in Real Estate here on the Arrow Title Services page. It has been a couple of weeks, but we are super excited to talk about this very, very hot topic. Today, we are talking about affordable housing here along the Treasure Coast. And whenever we do these live videos, we have local realtors and lenders come on and speak with us about this topic. It's always great to hear from local real estate professionals who are in this every single day, just how the market is going, how things are kind of shifting. Real estate's a very hot topic right now, and this is probably the number one hottest topic out there right now about affordable housing. So we kind of run this in two different parts, where the first portion, we have each of the realtors and lenders come on here and speak with us about their version of the topic and what their perspective is on it. And then each person says their part, and then we have a discussion about it. And then after that, we go into the number one top tip of the week, because this is Thursday's Top Tips in Real Estate. So make sure you guys stay tuned, and you can always watch the replays on our YouTube channel, Arrow Title Services, and feel free to connect with these individuals on their Facebook pages as well, which will be linked in the description of the video here. So let's get this topic started talking about affordable housing. We are going to start off with Jessica and Christy with Next Home Treasure Coast, and can't wait to hear their perspective on it, and we'll move it along. So welcome, guys.
Hi, welcome. My name is Jessica Ghazal, and I'm a realtor of Next Home Treasure Coast.
I'm Christy Hernandez. I'm broker owner of Next Home Treasure Coast.
Yeah. So today's topic, affordable housing. I think one of the things that we need to discuss is affordable housing versus attainable housing versus achievable housing. A lot of times these words are used interchangeably, but they each have a very specific meaning behind them. If a home, or if homes are no longer attainable or achievable, are they still affordable? And how do you afford these options? Even though our mortgage rates are still low, we're still facing a very tight inventory. I know when I come in here, I always love to talk about market stats, and we just had new market stats released today. And we're still at historic lows, and that has not changed. There has been a lot of speculation that the real estate market is starting to cool off, but we're not seeing that here in South Florida. And people are still struggling finding rental homes, rental apartments, and they're still struggling to meet lending requirements, because even though our mortgage rates are still low, lenders are haven't quite loosened those restraints yet, as a way to not facilitate what happened in 2008, for example. What do you think, Christy?
Absolutely right. The problem that we have is that, like, builders have taken this to the affordability price point, the middleman price point. Builders don't want to build in that because the profitability isn't there. It's more profitable for them to build on the higher price points. So that's what they're doing, and we're missing the mark for the first-time home buyers and people buying their first homes.
Absolutely. So those are the questions at hand. Is it affordable if it's not attainable or achievable? And as a realtor, I have those questions myself. I used to recommend that if you're unable to buy right now, explore these options for renting or going into an apartment temporarily, just so you can continue to work on your credit, work on your savings. But that's even difficult now for a lot of people, because there's, even in the rental market and even in apartments,
There's home sharing.
There's no inventory. So we're seeing a rise in multi-generational housing that came out of the pandemic, where a lot of folks were moving in together, adults, adult children, grandparents, in order to cohabitate and co-live together so that expenses can be shared. So that may be one option that people need to explore if they haven't explored it before, is this multi-generational living, and having to move back home and buckle down and to move forward from there to make stuff more affordable.
Yeah, absolutely. And such great points. And, this area that we live in is so popular, and it's not going to get any more unpopular. You know, we have so many people, we live in such a special area here along the Treasure Coast, so it's changing and ebbing, and real estate is always changing. So it's like right now in the past year and a half, we've gone through some of the most drastic changes we've seen in a very long time. So those are some really great points. I'm excited to see what the other professionals have to mention, and that leads us into Alannah. Ghazal, welcome.
Welcome and hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Lucy, for this platform. This is a great topic because I'm experiencing it a lot. And some of the key questions I like to ask, which were brought up already, are identifying which kind of buyer are you? Are you in the circumstances where it's possible for you to buy right now? And if so, what is that buying power? What can you be pre-approved for or afford without financing being necessary? It's been really interesting going out and, you know, people have different ideas of what's affordable. The average market St. Lucie single family home right now, the average price is $315,000. Some people's version of average in their head is $250,000. Some people's version of average is $199,000. They don't even want to hit the $200,000 mark. And these are not only their expectations of what the market's doing, which are not lining up with reality, or that's the restriction of their budget. So identifying where their headspace is at is key for us professionals to be able to serve them best. So a couple of the questions I like to ask when I'm meeting people in that position where they're looking under 250,000, maybe their top of their budget is 220,000. That's tough right now. That's tough to find things that are going to pass inspections and appraisals and be at the level that they're looking for. So I've had to get really creative recently. And a couple of the things that I've been doing is asking questions like, what is most flexible with your circumstances? Is it the time frame that you're shopping? Most of the time, not, especially with moratoriums lifting soon, allegedly, according to the grapevine. A lot of people borrowing or renting right now are concerned about not having a home when their owner, their landlord ends up selling. So is the time frame flexible? Is the budget flexible? Oftentimes, again, not for our locals. Is the size of the property you're looking for flexible? Now you see this a lot where two people want a 3-bedroom house. That's an opportunity to adjust the expectation and possibly find something in your price point. Is the location, are you able to commute more, and being able to open up the options for where you're willing to live might be able to help you find the price point you're looking for and the type of purchase you're looking to make. I've been out in Okeechobee more over the last week than I probably have my entire career. I've spent the last 6 months going up into Indian River County and really trying to show the value of even our beautiful Fort Pierce in comparison, which has been remarkable watching it transition to a desirable location as the building codes are changing and the fix and flip market has been really active there the last few years. I found that there are a lot of really great finds in that area if the mindset is there to consider it. So I'm always about opening up those areas of opportunity to be able to serve my client best. I know we've got a lot more people, so I'll shut up for now, but can't wait for the discussion on this, Lucy.
Thanks, Alannah. Great points. And we really do have such a, I think one of the points that you brought up too was very interesting, was like the locals aspect, comparing the locals and what's affordable to locals and people who are coming from out of the area. So there's definitely going to be some good discussion on this in the discussion portion, but I want to turn it to the lending side of things, and then we'll come back to the realtors, because the lending piece, there's 3 pieces in real estate. There's realtor, lender, and title company. So excited to hear from the lenders. And first up, we have Carol. So give us your opinion.
Hey, everybody. So when affordability comes to mind, one of the things that I specialize in here at Gateway is first-time home buyers. And the first couple questions that I ask them right out of the gate is, do you have any money for a down payment and closing costs? And I want to say, honestly, like 95% of the time, I get calls where they don't even have $1,000 saved. So there are some programs out there for the first-time home buyers to assist them in buying that house, but we're limited still on how much money they can get. So if you don't have any skin in the game, it's not even going to be an option for you to buy a house in this market at this time. And another question that I always ask them is, what is your budget that you want to spend every month on your housing payment? Because I know what I can qualify them for once I start looking at their income, but I always try to get with their comfort level first, because they've been paying rent most of the time. And when they first come to me, they've already been paying rent. So they kind of know what their affordability is. And then when we start crunching the numbers, unfortunately, with this limited inventory, I have a lot of frustrated buyers right now that can't find a home, and they're spreading out now. They're starting to go as far as Vero or over to Okeechobee. It's what you see in this kind of market when it's called urban sprawl. Well, you got to go somewhere to get a house that you can afford, and they're still not finding any inventory. I've been talking to several of my realtors lately, and we're all kind of going through the same thing, discussing how, you know, one of them actually today called himself, my customer is saying that I'm a unicorn. Like, he's not the unicorn. The elusive property is the unicorn. You know, finding that elusive property that we can fit our buyers into is what's becoming a little challenging, to say the least. And in addition to the limited inventory, we were having some big issues with insurance rates because they've gone up so much. And the majority of the resale houses that I see in the price range for first-time home buyers, these homes are typically an older home. The seller's been in it a long time, and they've never replaced the roof, or if they did replace the roof's over 15 years old. So now we're running into issues where either the seller's got to commit to putting a new roof on it, which isn't technically a possibility sometimes, or if they do, that's fine. You just got to wait for the roofers, because the roofers are so busy they can't get the roof on in time. So there's a lot of challenges right now going on in the industry to find that elusive, affordable house for the majority, I would say, of the population in this county. That's it for now.
Thanks, Carol. Yeah, and I think, you know, one of the biggest things that people need to think about when they're going to start that conversation with a lender is you're never asking too early, you know? To be prepared is so important. And I think people get like, oh, I need to wait until I'm ready to like talk to a lender or talk to a realtor. And like, no, like you need to do it like before you're ready, or what you think is ready, so that you can ask the proper questions or get led in the right direction, so that you can be more prepared. Because if you have less than $1,000 to put towards a house, like how are you supposed to know what?
You're not ready.
Yeah, you're not ready. So
well, that is another question that I always ask them. When are you looking to buy? And I've had people say, oh, next year. I'm like, you're not ready. You know, we'll talk, we'll get you prepared, but you're not ready to commit and make that application. But I'm like, if you're looking to buy in the next 3 to 4 months, you need to start now. You need to get ready now and be prepared, because once you start looking, if you want to make an offer, you got to make it now. That is a conversation I think we're all having with them, because some of them are like, oh, my lease isn't up until September. Well, you need to get started right now, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So always very important. And I always like to stress that for people, because I think they think that they need to wait until the moment they're ready. And it's like, you don't know what ready means. So
right.
Thanks for that, Carol. And I want to pass it to Jessica, who's also a lender, and see what she wants to add to it from her perspective in the lending side. So.
Well, I think you girls just about nailed everything. So I'm kind of, that was my first question was, what is your budget? So anytime somebody comes up to me I always ask them, what is your budget? And then we kind of work around that. And Carol is right. That's one of the biggest issues that I personally see is the growing insurance costs. I feel like every now and again, I have to recheck and make sure that I'm nailing the insurance, because when we send you out with a pre-approval, we want to make sure that we send one out with a correct insurance amount. And it's very hard. We kind of have to estimate. And if you get some of these older homes, that insurance is going to be higher than the newer homes. So there's a lot of things to consider. And then one of the other things I wanted to point out, there are some great programs, like you have FHA and conventional only require anywhere from 3 to 5% down. And there's just some great programs, and there are also some down payment programs. So there are options, but you don't know what options you qualify for. Even if it's down payment assistance, there are some hurdles to get over to qualify for that. And you need to make sure what those hurdles are before you get to it. It costs $0 to consult with a mortgage loan officer. And what we can do is set you on the right path to get you into home ownership, because oftentimes, and I'm sure Kale can agree with me, I have somebody come in and they say, well, I have to be out of my house in a month or 2 months. And sometimes they need a 3-month plan or 4-month plan. And then they're stuck trying to extend their lease, and it gets to be very messy. So we always try to say, just, it doesn't cost any money to consult with us and to get an idea. And we have, I'm sure Carol does too, we have people who we've been working with for months to make sure that they're in a great position and comfortable position. Now, that being said, a lot of people say, well, I'm just going to stay renting, and that's fine. Sometimes rent is good for some, but not all. However, what some have already seen is that rent is increasing as well. So not only are home prices increasing, but rent is increasing. And so there are a lot of things in play here, especially with what's going on now. It is a very, I want to say it's a very trying time for a lot of us, because there's growing prices everywhere, especially in St. Lucie County. And so there's a lot of things to consider, and it's never too early to at least consult and get an idea of what needs to be, whether it be your credit, whether it be the amount in the bank, and as far as looking for a home, what location you're looking for. Are you going to be searching within your price range? Like if you go to Jupiter, you're not going to find a house for, under 300,000, but you might find one in St. Lucie or Vero. So it's just things to consider and to do your research up front. Thank you so much. I'm Jessica with Coast to Coast Lending. I'm not sure if I introduced myself or not, but thank you so much for having me, Lucy.
Thank you, Jessica. Great, great input. And I love hearing it from I love hearing it from both perspectives of the realtor and the lender, because it's so important. And what we're looking for, the conversations we're having, and like sometimes people are more prepared than they realize, because with the whole difference of rental, what you need to actually even get into a rental sometimes could be something that is just enough to be able to get you into a house. And it's really just so much conversation and communication that is so important, which is why it's so important to work with local professionals who know what's going on and how the ins and outs of our industry are coming about and how they're changing. So thank you guys for the lending perspective on that. And we're going to pass it back to the realtor side of things and hearing from the other two realtors we have on here and what's going on with affordable housing if you're just tuning in now. So we've got Codi Fletcher up here next, and we will hear from him. So thanks, Codi.
What's up, folks? Codi with Bourgeois Real Estate Group. Affordable housing. I don't think that exists anymore. It's like the lender says, you need time. So if you are committed to, if you're looking to find something and you commit to it, and you are diligent and you are willing to go through a few offers, you can more than likely find something. But it's a needle in a haystack, that's for sure. I got a client of mine who I got into a rental a couple years ago, and now she's looking to buy, but she's looking to go to Orlando. And I spoke to a realtor friend out there, and she's telling me that that market is just saturated. Like, it's easier to rent something than it is to buy something. So you really have to give yourself some time and really have to search the market. The rentals here are just like ridiculous. The what's the word I'm looking for? The requirements that these lenders are putting on people for rentals is more strict than the lenders. If you can find anything, even on the buying side, if you can find anything, it's going to take you to do a lot of due diligence with your professional network around you to make it happen. Things are just going up. Everything is expensive. I mean, the only way for people to make it these days is, for a bunch of people to live in the same house, or to have a co-signer with really good credit and really good income. It's just impossible these days. I don't know how much longer this is going to be able to go on without a lot of homeless people here, but it's just getting crazy, ridiculous. So that is my take.
Thank you, Codi. And I think, one of the highlights that you really brought up there was rental restrictions compared to lending restrictions, which you're right. I mean, if you think about it with rentals, you know, you can't even, most of the time you can't have a pet or a dog or over a certain size. And like, people don't think about that sometimes when they're looking to get into rentals, and just like the amount of money that they're requiring and just all of these aspects. So it's super multifaceted, and that's why it's important to have that conversation. But
I mean, I've seen houses out there where they want the renter to have a 700 credit score, and make 3 times the rent on a $2,500 a month house. And it's like, you know, if somebody's making $8,000 to $9,000 a month in income and they have higher than a 700, they're not renting anything.
Yeah.
So it's almost like
Crazy.
defeating the purpose with those kinds of restrictions, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely a multifaceted topic. I'm excited to get to the discussion portion of it, but we do have Kara, who's on here, who is also a realtor, and I know she's going to have some great things to add to this discussion. So go ahead, Yaz, take it away.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here the first time. I'm Kara Corrales Bradley. I'm with Baron Real Estate, and also I'm the Vice President of the Realtors Association for the regional Treasure Coast area. And that topic is very interesting for me because not only I work every day with people trying to find affordable for them, because what is affordable for some people maybe is nothing for other ones. We have to look at it in the perspective of the client. Someone's they only can afford 200,000. Someone's cannot even get there. And a lot of people, like our lenders say, a lot of people doesn't have enough for the closing fees and down payments. So in that aspect, we always look for help. And one thing we are doing it, and I know we do it at a state level, is with the programs, the lenders talk about it to help the buyers with down payment, closing fees, a little bit here and there helps. But sometimes we need extra push to be able to have that money because those funds have limited. Those funds are limited. So we have to be sure all the money supposed to use to that help goes there. So you know, you only have to be registered to vote in Florida to sign the petition to put in an amendment in elections next year. And that is super important we doing this. Because that way all the money supposed to be going to help those buyers with closing fees and down payment money will go there. So it's very important to really use that money for what it is. And that way the state doesn't send that money for other things. So that's part of, I mean, we can do what we can do. We cannot do anything because the prices are going up. We cannot do anything if the interest rates change, but we can do something to help the ones can get qualified, can buy a property, and may need help with closing fees and down payment. So that's what I think is the best way to do it, as with the tools we have. I hope, and I know the market may slow down in next year or something, because eventually will. And will be more people looking to buy and more people looking for help in those funds. So I think that is other part of the topic in you know, with all this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yaz. And for those of you guys who just tuned in, what Yaz was just speaking about was there's a petition going on right now with the state to be able, they're trying to collect signatures to make sure that the money, that there is a portion of money from every sale of every home that is set aside from the state of Florida to make sure that we can have this affordable housing and have those programs through lending companies, and making sure that we can provide those options and have those funds. There's a bunch of different programs. There's also different places like Habitat for Humanity. So there's a lot of different aspects to consider there. And I want to open up the discussion portion of this. There's plenty to talk about here, but I also want to just tune into kind of what we just mentioned, and if you guys are just tuning in now, we have been talking about affordable housing. Everyone who's just spoke gave some really great points, and we're about to get into the discussion. And I want to talk and start it kind of off with the fact that we have, I think the mindset for people need to change in the sense of long-term living and short-term living. If you are living in this area, if you are a local and you plan to stay here for a long time, I know it's really hard to think about our market and how fast it is moving and how fast it is growing, but you have to think about your house as an investment, and the fact that if you are staying in that house long term, how does it look over time with the interest rates that are still pretty low? Like, you have to change your perspective. I think people are thinking, oh, short term, oh, the market, everything. Like, are you selling your house in the next year? If that's not the case, then there is less risk that's kind of associated. So just want to kind of throw that out there, and anybody who wants to chime in to just anything that they heard about anybody, whatever anyone said. So please feel free to.
I got something.
Chime in.
So
Yeah.
I frequently watch a lot of these finance guys and all that on social media and TV and whatever. And you know, I get a lot of people who tell me that, you know, they want to wait to buy, you know, until the market calms down or comes down or whatever. And it's like I keep telling them, you may as well buy now while the interest rates are low, because if you wait until then, at some point the interest rates are going to go up, inflation is still going up. It's going to be harder at that point for you to buy. So if you're going to do it, you need to do it now, while you can still get a great interest rate. And I mean, like I said, it's going to be a challenge getting something, but if you stay diligent and stay focused, then it will happen. But now is the time. You know, don't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jess, you had raised your hand earlier. Did you have something to add in there?
Well, I had a question for Yas, because I can't remember what it's called, but I know the association has a fund for people to help them afford
Attainable
closing
housing.
costs.
Attainable
that
housing.
one, yeah, that one is the attainable housing, and that is a maximum of
2,500.
maximum of 2,500. That's separate from the programs from the state. That's a different budget.
I'll be
and
honest with you.
locally,
Can
we
I
do
talk about
events.
that one?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Here's the thing with the attainable housing and the down payment assistance programs. They're income driven. That means their income can't exceed the county limits set by, you know, low to moderate income households based on Fannie Mae numbers or whatnot. They did raise the limits. However, I will say this, I've been doing this business over 35 years. This market that we're in right now with the median house price at 300,000, you're talking about people that can afford 150,000. That is the God's honest truth. So I think it's great that we have these programs out there, but I look at my pipeline now with people that I've pre-approved for these programs, because I've been doing the down payment assistance for years, and it's like there's nothing affordable. And the people are getting frustrated. And I honestly think that we need to talk to our council members in the community, in the county, about affordable housing. And I mean literally affordable housing. If these big builders over in Tradition, and I might get political here, I don't know, but I've lived in St. Lucie County for 20 years now, but where I'm from, in a county up north, every time a builder builds a community, I don't know, there's probably a certain number of houses, a certain percentage in that community must be affordable housing. And back when they first started doing this, a lot of people balked, going, oh, it's going to bring the prices of my houses down. No, it never brought the prices of the houses down. What it did was made it affordable for those people to get into a nice community, but they couldn't sell the house for like 10 years. They couldn't make a profit off of that house for at least 10 years. So it was capped by the county for literally first-time home buyers with limited income. There isn't anything like that I'm aware of in St. Lucie County or Martin County. And it would be something that we should all collectively get together and really have a discussion about, because these people deserve homes, but there's just nothing affordable. So if you're building 300 units that are going for, 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, why can't you build 30 townhouses that are going for 125,000? You know what I mean? And put these people in those houses, because once you put buyers into a home that they own, they're going to take care of that home and they're going to eventually appreciate, and then they can move up eventually. That's just my 2 cents on the subject about that money that's out there. It's not enough for anything. And the people that can get that money can't afford to buy a house right now. And that's just sad.
And Carol makes a very good point. Christy and I was actually looking at an article that was discussing how in Tampa, there's a tiny home village that their homes are all there. They're under 85,000. So when we talk about affordable housing, and we're talking about homes at this point under 200, but generally when people are talking about affordable housing, they're talking about homes in that 100, 150, 125 limit. So we have only 3 counties in Florida that allow tiny homes. You know, Orange County, Peterborough County, and Sarasota County are the only counties in Florida that allow any sort of tiny home village. And generally because of the space constraints, you know, tiny homes tend to be at a lower cost. But, you know, somebody, you know, Joe Citizen can't buy a plot of land, you know, in St. Lucie and throw up
4 homes.
you know, 4 homes on that land that qualify as tiny homes, because cities have constraints and rules about square footage regulations and how big and how small units can be. Like, I am very fortunate that I own a double lot. When I choose to buy on my double lot, I am constrained by the county that the building that I build on there has to be no more than 900 square feet. So it makes me think that, you know, to touch back to housing that is affordable, attainable, and achievable, we need to figure out how do we, like Carol said, you know, implement these communities to make these homes affordable. I know we talk about all these great things happening in Fort Pierce. Fort Pierce has a lot of smaller homes, and Fort Pierce used to be an affordable area. And Fort Pierce is really working so hard creating their Peacock Art District and their Lincoln districts, and they're small homes that would, I think, qualify for that price range. But because inventory is so low and there's limited land in order to build on, it's continuously driving our rates up. So this is not just a St. Lucie problem. This isn't a Martin County problem. This is a national problem in general, and finding, you know, appropriately sized homes in safe areas for people who need them.
Can I speak up on that? And the way they did it, and they still do it, and I actually owned one of those homes years ago when my first home. And it was like $60,000, and it was a split foyer. It was a modular home. It came in 2 pieces on a truck, but it was a single family home. And then as I, you know, matured and started making more money and moved into this really nice colonial community, they were building townhouses. And the way that the county did it was they mandated that the builders had to do it. Because what's happening, if you look over in Tradition and everywhere west of 95, these big builders can come in and they flatten all that land and they're building all these houses and making all that money. They mandated that the builders had to do it. That came from the county mandate. If you want to build 400 single family homes, you got to build 50 single, you know, townhomes, whatever. And the townhomes, they were typical townhome in a northern community. They were just literally builder grade models. But that's the way you got to do it. And if you do the townhouses, you're going to put more people in affordable homes, not necessarily the single families. But I've noticed what they're doing up there is in the big single family communities, that they are building smaller single family communities, because the median house price up there is $600,000. So there's a way to do it, but it has to start at the county level, where it has to be mandated. And we as citizens need to collectively get together and discuss this with our elected officials, because nothing's going to happen if we don't do something about it. And it affects all of us.
Absolutely. And I want to say too, that, you know, we think about our area and how I've lived here my entire life along the Treasure Coast, born and raised in Jensen Beach. Seeing the amount of influx of people, we do have an older population here. We do have families here though, but we have an older population. And, you know, what I tell people as well is that thinking about our area and the landscape of it, and I just think that there's a lag. And I think that that's kind of where the struggle's coming right now, is that in the last year and a half, nobody expected the industry to be like this. Nobody expected COVID to bring this type of market to real estate. If anything, people were worried that like, you know, things were going to drop or whatever. Yeah, exactly. But it was the opposite case. So now there's this lag, and it's like the people who are trying to get out of these huge cities now, because people don't want to be they don't need to be constrained in these big cities anymore because there's more remote jobs. People don't want to be around that many people, and they're tired of that city life. And a lot of the times those big city, just everything about COVID has changed the landscape for people's lifestyles, what they expect and what they want. And now people from those areas where it's very expensive to live, but they're getting paid more, are moving and flooding out of those areas and coming to areas like ours. And when they're in areas like ours where it's more affordable, then when the locals who aren't getting paid as much, but the people who are coming in here are selling their houses for $600,000 and $700,000. I describe this area to them as them getting Gucci at the dollar store. This is like what it feels like to them. They're like, oh, look, I'm getting a bigger house here for half the price of my house up there. And that's why our market isn't going down per se, like right now, because we have this influx of people who can afford it. And we talked about affordability. It depends on the person that you're talking about and what's affordable to them. But the locals are the ones that are hurting the most, and giving them the feedback that we have to be realistic of the people who are coming here too, and being understanding of that aspect. And I think a lot of locals are holding out, thinking that there's going to be a crash like 2007, 2008, which is not happening. It's like any professional you talk to that's been in the industry for any portion of time is going to tell you that this is nothing like 2007, 2008. And again, just like the things I just mentioned, there are people coming here from different areas. We live in when it comes to that aspect, it is very regional. So what Carol was mentioning is on a national level, absolutely affordable housing in general. But in our local perspective, sometimes people try to compare national wise how some areas are fluctuating compared to our area. And our area has steadily gone up because of the increased interest in our area and the people who are moving here. It's word of mouth. It's very small local town vibe. And that's not changing. And it hasn't even before the pandemic. It's just been super ramped up because of the lifestyle changes. And I think there's just a lag on the affordability side and all of those aspects that, we just haven't caught up with yet.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I think you're right about that. I've recently, I put myself in a position where I am in front of a lot of people who just purchased here. And I fear that this market is starting to cater to people that are coming from these other areas and starting to forget about the people who have been here. Because some of these people, they come down, they buy cash, they're probably paying half what, they sold their house for, wherever they're coming from. But there are some of those people who, they've had to save up over time, and they've probably had to, take, some type of loan out on their property or whatever in order to buy down here. But because it's cash, still, they're getting that preference over the people who are here with financing. So I just feel like there needs to be a discussion about evening the playing field.
Well, you're
for
absolutely
everybody.
You're absolutely right. Well, so the thing we all need to keep in mind though is that the market is not sentient. The market does not think, care, feel. It doesn't. As professionals, we are responsible for ethically listing and being resourceful and understanding and shaping the expectations of the clients, whether buyers or sellers that we're working with, putting these homes onto the market, shopping for them with our buyers. But we also need to be, like Yaz mentioned, having these legislative discussions and enforcing, because we are in a capitalist nation. We do what we need to do by the dollar. We follow the law, regardless of whether it's necessarily right or wrong. If it's legal to make money, that is the route that the money flows. And that is what good business, that is how that's touted and taught and trained. So if we need this so desperately, then we absolutely need to be more involved in those conversations and find ways to get engaged in the decision-making so that we can enforce the builders doing what they need to do to support our locals as well, because otherwise we will end up with, a cataclysmic event where the people supporting and sustaining a community can't afford to live in it. And we definitely want to avoid that and bring it back to a sense of balance. A couple of things that I've noticed that are helping with my clients in that price point is finding and noticing those places where maybe people aren't looking for those homes, almost the catfish mentality, where it's, I'm looking at homes in Sandpiper that were built in the 60s right now. And these homes are great. Some of these homes are updated. Some of these homes aren't updated, but most of them have new roofs or roofs within the last 10 years. So it's helping kind of compensate for the year build and the insurance in that regard. And so we're able to balance the numbers and make it work for those lower price first-time home purchasers. So there are things out there and they're minimal, but it's our job to find creative ways to serve as best we can with what we got.
Here's a silly thought. Wouldn't it be great if we could, like the 55 plus communities, we could have first time home buyer communities?
How precious would
You
that
had
be?
to be a first time home buyer to buy in it versus
That's a
55
wonderful idea.
plus.
Tiny home communities too, like you mentioned earlier, would be a phenomenal thing. And this is a community that loves that idea. They thrive on it. They think it's cool. It's trending. We could totally capitalize on that and make a lot of lives better here.
Government, are you listening? Instead of 55,
Well-
not instead of, because people over 55 deserve affordable housing as well. But in addition to our 55 plus community, why can't we put together a first time affordable home buyer community with low homeowner insurance rates?
Bingo.
So we have people in nice communities, safe communities, and they're surrounded by other people who are sharing in the same experience that they are, first time home buyers.
And you have
That
to be a
was how I
first-time
bought
home
my
buyer to
first
buy it.
house. That's exactly how they did
Yeah.
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
I think just to bring everything full, I think to bring everything full
Let's say we get
circle
with the
though,
lenders and make it happen.
Yeah, Jessica, go ahead.
between Alannah and Jessica and Carol, I think with everybody, what everyone's trying to say here for anyone who's out there, we see in this industry a huge gap between those who are homeowners and those who are not homeowners. Because most of the time, what we're seeing is the previous homeowners are coming in with cash from equity from their homes or their retirement, and they're the ones who are able to buy a home. And the first-time home buyers, in my opinion, are getting the grunt. They're getting the brute end of the force.
Yeah.
It's a very unfavorable environment for them, and it's creating this gap. And that's what we are all sitting here talking about and being concerned with, because eventually, I mean, the ones who own the houses at this point or who have previously bought are the ones who are really winning at this point. And that's how it's creating a gap, and we're not liking it.
And, you know, there are things in place, and I think there are people that are fighting for that. And obviously we're all a part of the real estate industry here, and we are passionate about this as well. So, you know, I encourage people to, you know, be aware of what's going on locally in your area, be aware of the things that we talk about, how the market is going. Don't just listen to what the hoopla that you hear out and about or whatever it might be. So talk to your local professional, make sure that, you know, they're working with you. The local professionals who are on this call are incredible people who want to help. They are taking time out of their day to have these conversations with you. We do these local real estate topics so that you guys can get information from real time, what's going on in our market, and updating you guys. And we wanted to bring up this topic about affordable housing in our area because we know it's top of mind for so many people out there. So if you guys have any questions, if you guys are looking to buy or purchase or whatever it might be in the next year or so, make sure that you reach out to the local professionals who are on this call, start the conversation, and we will work as hard and as diligently as possible to make sure that we can get you into a situation that's going to work for you. And I think each of the professionals on here has shown that passion for that, and everybody works really hard to make sure that that happens. So I know it can be a very stressful time. Breathe, it's okay. I want to go lightning fast because this is Thursday's top tips in real estate. So I want everybody to give their number one top tip of the week, keep it brief, and then we can wrap this up. And make sure that, guys, if you guys are watching this, if you're just tuning in now, make sure you guys follow these professionals on their Facebook pages, follow us, Arrow Title Services, and make sure you rewatch, if you are just tuning in now, rewatch this on our YouTube channel, Arrow Title Services. Subscribe to that, and you'll be able to get all of the other topics that we've talked about over the last year and a half and just how much things have changed. So go ahead, let's do our quick fire top tips in real estate. Jess and Christy, take us away first.
Make sure your dogs have water and don't leave them outside.
I like that. I like that. And a
Phenomenal.
lot of people are buying their houses because of dogs too. I mean, I know I
Yes,
did.
absolutely. My top tip is just make sure that you're with a professional that works with other professionals that knows what is going on. Your buying power as a individual out there is only as strong as the team you have behind you.
Love it. That's a
Yes.
great one. Look at this. And we're all working as a team right here. So proof is in the pudding, guys. Proof is in the pudding. Love it, Jess. What about you, Alannah?
Well, Alannah with EXP here, and I think finding out what your idea of affordable, I'm just going to circle back to that. I think that is the most important thing you can do is educate yourself. So I challenge you, get connected with a professional, have a conversation and identify that, because only once you identify that can you put together a game plan to reach your goals.
Absolutely. Love it, Alannah. Thank you. We'll take it to the lending side. Carol, top tip of the week.
Carol Doles, Gateway Mortgage, call me first. Come see me first. We'll work out a plan. Regardless of when you're ready, we'll discuss that and have options available for you. So call me first, and then we'll get you set up so your realtor can get you into that home of your dreams.
Love it. Thank you, Carol. And Codi, top tip of the week.
Mine is kind of twofold. So, we all call ourselves professionals, and we're supposed to act accordingly. So, for the realtors out there, answer your telephones and respond to your text messages. Communication is what makes the business go around. So, and then as far as the public, one thing that I've been running into a lot is that people need to understand how everything works in this changing market as far as documentation. So anything that you say that you have or you show in writing. We can't go to the lenders, the sellers, the buyers, the whoever and say, hey, this is what they say. We have to show it in writing. So make sure you have your paperwork in order so that you can show exactly what you say. And that is my tip for today.
Absolutely. I love that, Codi. That aspect of communication is very important, and having those things in writing, especially from the title company perspective, there's a lot that we need in writing to make sure that every duck is in its right row, and that everybody is clear on what the expectations are of that process. So definitely the local professionals that you're working with, make sure you're communicating with them. Make sure everybody's answering their phones. We all need to answer our phones. So, and the local professionals who are on here are doing just that. And I know that. So
I respond to my messages at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. So,
that's good to hear, Codi. Dedication. All right, Yaz, top tip of the week from you.
Jazz Bradley from Baron Real Estate. I will say, if you're in Florida, turn off your sprinkles because it's raining every afternoon. Save water. Your bill will be less. And if you're not in Florida, keep an eye on that too, because that money will help you to buy the next house.
Absolutely. And, I actually just want to give a quick platform for Yaz really quick. Yaz, if you have any suggestions where locals or agents can kind of plug in to get a voice in the community when it comes to, since you're very connected with the government aspect of the real estate real world, if you could give us kind of some guidance on where people can go for that.
Well, as a realtors, we have our committees like government affairs or PAC. You guys can go there, and every association, not only the local ones, every association in the state have those. So that's the best way to go and work with your local officials, the state, or even the nationals. So that part is good. And if you're not a realtor or part of the real estate life, put it that way, every community, the officials are very open to hear things from their own citizens. They have to be, because they need us to elect them next time. Get with a realtor or member of the Realtors Association who work with the government affairs, with RPAC. That way, you can work closer to the officials for your own community. That's what I will go for in that aspect. And put your voice there to hear you. That's how we do it. If we get together, the officials will have to listen to us.
Wasn't there just the city council meetings, right? Isn't that, yep. So
yeah, we were there at the for Pierce City Council. We were there last Monday.
Yep. So be aware of what's going on locally in your communities. We all live here, we all work here, and we all want to make sure that we have an area that we can all thrive in. So a great discussion from all of these local professionals. Guys, if you are in the market to buy, sell, or even refinance, whatever it might be, make sure that you guys are reaching out to the local professionals who are on this call that are educating you guys, making sure that you guys are connected and giving the best information out there possible in this crazy market that we're all living in. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to drop them in the comments below. Ask us, ask the local professionals, follow them on social media, whether they're looking to buy now or not. It's just good to be plugged in because they're always posting things on their Facebook pages about updates and things that are happening. So stay tuned, stay plugged in. We hope you guys find this valuable. And we will see you guys again next time. Thank you to all of you guys who joined us here today. And we'll be back for another Thursday's Top Tips in Real Estate with another great topic in real estate. And we will see you all again soon. So have a great rest of your week. Thanks, guys. Bye.